So we just really need to stop this conversation. And I'm seeing it so much on social media, so much so that Gino Auriemma has as good as basically come in and was like, not said it, but was like, oh yeah, Paige is good. Paige is good with playing with all of these, with playing with all great players because, she went to UConn. And so therefore she should be starting for Team USA at point guard, which is a position she doesn't even play. And I'm getting sick and tired of so-called experts thinking if you didn't go to UConn, you've done something wrong. Because at the end of the day, should Paige Bueckers be starting for Team USA? Yes, absolutely. Paige Bueckers should be starting for Team USA. Should Paige Bueckers be starting a point guard for Team USA? Hell no. Paige Bueckers has played point guard for, exclusively point guard for not many teams in her life, and she has been 100 times better as a two guard. Paige Bueckers is the best two guard in the league outside of Jackie Young. And I think if we're talking about fit, Jackie Young should be starting too. There is a crazy thing is that I think the last starting five spot, it won't be. I think it should be between Stewie and Fee for the power forward position. In terms of fit. And I think there could be an argument that Sonia Citron could start the three. But Paige Bueckers, it should be a unquestionably starting. Like, who's better, Paige or Sabrina? Paige by quite a lot. Like, there is definitely a hierarchy when it comes to these guards in the WNBA. And like, for me, it's Jackie, Caitlin, as I think the only guard I think you can argue is better than Caitlin Clark is Jackie Young. And then there is a small gap to Paige because I think Paige is serious. Paige is seriously good. And a lot of Paige's flaws will be hidden on Team USA because she doesn't need to touch the ball or do anything or look to be aggressive in the fourth quarter. She can just slot in and do what they teach you to do in UConn, how to fit in rather than fit out. Whereas with Caitlin Clark, you've got your orchestrator. Paige is not an orchestrator. And Paige Bueckers is somebody that will, when she plays point guard, she will pass the ball side to side. And I know that's kind of what, they want. Team USA might want in a point guard. But at the end of the day, it's not what they need in a point guard. What they need in a point guard is a dynamic guard. Like we saw in the Olympics, they were best with Kelsey Plum at the point. They need someone who's going to push the tempo. They need someone that's going to get Angel Wilson, get Breanna Steward out running. And we saw it at times with Chelsea Gray, but Chelsea Gray is just too much of a liability in that type of a game. Because in the WNBA, you can hide Chelsea Gray on a power forward. You can make lineups work. You can play her at power forward. You can hide her in that type of lineup. But the problem is that is Chelsea Gray going to be playing on Team USA as a power forward? No, you're going to put in a power forward. And it's kind of hard. It gets harder to do. Like, she is going to be a liability if she's on the team. And I think I wouldn't mind bringing her as a vet. But there's all these weird conversations. And the real answer is both Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers should be starting. Now, I've seen the dumbest argument. Caitlin Clark starting shooting guard. Paige Bueckers starting point guard. Can you imagine? That's like saying, imagine having playing Nikola Jokic at small forward as a wing and telling Luka to go play center. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like it's playing two players out of position for no reason makes no sense. Because Caitlin Clark's not good enough to start shooting guard for Team USA. She's just not very good as a two guard. We can be honest here. She's the best point guard in the world. She's not very good as a two guard. Why? Because her off ball movement isn't very good. And it's one of those things where it's like, I hate this whole, we can turn Caitlin Clark into a Steph Curry. It's like, there is shit you can't really teach. Just like you can't teach Caitlin Clark's vision. You can't teach Caitlin Clark's feel. You can't teach Caitlin Clark's kind of nose for the ball. You can't teach her ability to see things happen before they do. You can't teach her ability to be relentless, go. Like, that is in you. A coach isn't going to turn you into that. That is either in you or it's not, and it's in Caitlin Clark. But there's also an off-the-ball feel that you can't teach. You can improve at it, but you can't go from being Caitlin Clark, who doesn't have a great feel off the ball. Like, she can come off curl downs, fine. There's a difference between that and if you've got Paige, who, if you watch like how she cuts back door, how she's able to move off the ball, how she's able to create space, play off people, like that's an unteachable skill. Her and Sonia Citron are the two best players at it, are two of the best players at it in the WNBA, if not the two best players. So it's one of those things where it's like, you can't teach Caitlin, like Caitlin Clark is never going to be a better two guard than Paige Bueckers, and Paige Bueckers is never going to be a better point guard than Caitlin Clark. It's as simple as that. Who is the better at their position? Caitlin Clark is a better point guard. Caitlin Clark is more important or leads to winning more as a orchestrator. Caitlin Clark is an orchestrator for Team USA, will guarantee they win. Paige Bueckers will just be a better version of Kelsey Plum or Sabrina Ionescu. And that's the problem, is that people are like, oh yeah, for Team USA, Kelsey Plum's a point guard. We saw for the LA Sparks, Kelsey Plum a point guard. She's going to get numbers. It's not going to lead you to winning. Sabrina Ionescu at point guard is better than Kelsey Plum. I mean, she won a championship at point guard, but she's not like Sabrina is, the best way I can describe Sabrina is she's half Caitlin and half Paige, but not as good as either of them at their positions. As in, she's a better point guard than Paige. She's a better shooting guard than Caitlin, but she's not as good a shooting guard or she's not a good off-ball player as Paige, but not as good an on-ball player as Caitlin. So she's kind of this tweener. She's not as good as either. She's not as good as either of them, especially in a team where their roles need to be defined. But like Caitlin, with these pieces around her, like we saw what she's done to what she's done with Aaliyah Boston. We saw how she's made Lexi Hull look, how much better she's made Kelsey Mitchell look when they're on the floor together. And I know Kelsey Mitchell had that run the playoffs, but that was just them playing street ball, where Kelsey Mitchell's always going to succeed. But she made Kelsey Mitchell as good a structured basketball player as she's ever been. So you're looking at that, and the more I watch, like the player whose starting spot should be like a questionable is Nafisa Collier, but she was terrible at the Olympics. She was absolutely terrible. But yet it's this whole thing where it seems apparently Jackie Young has a guaranteed starting spot, and Age rightfully has a guaranteed starting spot. But the thing is like, if you look at the last Olympics, Kalia Copper was getting DMPs. They started down at Taurasi. Chelsea Gray was starting for some reason. They nearly lost an Olympics because of it. And if Team USA basketball continues to go with sentiment rather than do the smart thing, instead of having your two best guards fight it out for one starting spot, because these other players have to start, even though it's not going to make your team better, you might lose. And the grand scheme of things, is that not the most important thing for them, is to win? Like, I really do hope the Team USA fuck it up. I love watching Team USA lose. It's the only time in my life I'm going to be cheering against Caitlin. Like, if they draw, I don't know, where, like, I'm going to a wedding at the start of September next year, but the day after that wedding, I'm flying straight to Germany, and I'm going to every one of Team USA's games. Oh, you better believe if they're playing Germany, like whoever they're playing, I'm going to have gear for the other team on the sideline. It's the only time I'll ever cheer against Caitlin. But at the same time, as someone who talks about basketball and analyzes basketball, I can talk about basketball in an honest way. Like, it doesn't matter if a player goes to UConn or not. Caitlin Clark not going to UConn doesn't mean she can't play point guard for Team USA. This is the same Gino Auriemma saying this, that decided he didn't want to bring the MVP and Finals MVP to the Olympics. He didn't bring Candace Parker in her prime to the Olympics, and didn't bring Nneka Nwumeke in her prime, who was the MVP of the league. Didn't bring her to the Olympics. So much so that Nneka Nwumeke has been trying to play for Nigeria for the last decade. She won't play for Team USA anymore because of Gino Auriemma. Like, and the fact is that now that you've got Sue Bird in there, who is UConn, by the way? Who is UConn? And the one thing I will say when it comes to UConn is they've had all the best players. They've had a lot of great teams, but like, going to UConn doesn't make you a better player. It doesn't. Like, yes, you're taught how to play basketball. You're taught how to fit in. You're taught how to play in a system. But at the end of the day, Aja Wilson doesn't play in a system. Breanna Steward, she can't. Like, it's not the all UConn team. It's Team USA. And when you have a dynamic point guard and one of the best shooting guards, Just because you have the best scoring shooting guard in the WNBA, just because she is willing to say, fuck all of that, I will pass the ball to the wing, set screens, and do nothing. Just because she's willing to be a role player doesn't mean that she has to be, because she doesn't. Paige Bueckers doesn't have to be a role player. Just because she's willing to doesn't mean she has to be. Someone has to be a role player. Someone does. That's why you bring a Sonia Citron. That's why you bring Jackie Young can be a role player. She's a much better defender than all these players. And she's not as good an isolation scorer as a Paige Bueckers. Caitlin Clark can be a orchestrator and facilitator. She is the only true point guard. She is the only point guard in the entire Team USA roster who looks up. Paige Bueckers throws a couple of throw-ahead passes a season, and everyone talks about them like they're crazy highlights, as does Chelsea Gray and these other players. Chelsea Gray looks up, sorry, but she's just too slow to play point guard at the minute. Whereas Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers' point guard highlights is a half of Caitlin. Will do that in a half. She's by 100 miles the best point guard in the team, and Paige Bueckers is by 100 miles the best offensive wing on this team. There is no excuse for Breanna Ionescu or Kelsey Plum to be starting. And I think Jackie Young should start, honestly. I think Jackie should be starting at the 3. Because again, you are coming up against a French team who are going to start Layla Lacan and Gabby Williams as your wing. So you need dynamic wings because you can afford to have one. Like, you need to have kind of dynamic wings. I think Paige Bueckers can guard Gabby Williams or can guard Layla Lacan. Because if you put out Fee, I think Gabby Williams or Lacan can kind of do a decent enough job on Fee because the way Stewie's been shooting at the minute, it becomes a tough one for Fee to work out of space because you've got 3 players crammed the key. If Age is spreading the floor, it's a bit different. But that's the real thing when it matters. It's probably going to be Williams, Lacan, or maybe, honestly, maybe they start Valu Ayayi. She hasn't had a great season this year for Prague, but they might start Ayayi. Then you've got Janelle, who could slide in at the 4 with Rupert at the 5, or maybe they'll start Malonga at the 5. At the point guard, the likelihood is they're going to start Marine Photo, which means you're going to have a Caitlin Clark, a person Caitlin can guard and isn't really going to burn Caitlin. Photo's a good player, but she's not. She's a backup WNBA level point guard. But look, it is what it is. This is a debate that's going on right now because a lot of the UConn people are like, oh yeah, the only spot that's free is point guard because, Jackie Young started in the last Olympics when Taurasi went down, so therefore she has to have her spot. And I'm like, yeah, even if she probably does get it by merit, but it shouldn't be at the expense of one of these 2 players. It should realistically. And then Fee, by the way, Fee stunk it up in the last Olympics. I don't care that she was robbed of an MVP, arguably 2 years in a row. She stunk it up the last Olympics. Fee is not a small forward. She's not a wing. And the problem is that Stewie for Team USA has been exceptional. You're not going to cut Stewie. Fee should be coming off the bench. She won't, but she should be. And I don't know what Team USA are doing. And you know what? They might, Team USA, knowing them, they might try to shut up the noise by starting Breanna Ionescu point guard. So both sets of fans are angry. The reality is both of them should be starting. Absolutely. And if I'm being honest, there should be a debate. If they are struggling because there's only one basketball, do you want to know what also happens? If there's only one basketball, there's only one player that gets that ball to your team as much as possible, and that's Angel Reese. I think there should be debates on her starting too. But anyway, I'll see you guys.